Hi, this is Gil Robles, and I'm back with another video. I know it has been a while. First of all, before I go on, I want to wish everybody good health, especially in these trying times. I'm shut it in. I guess I'm indoors because of the virus that's going around, and so I'm in New York City, and we're what they call sheltered in place. So I'm not working, so I find myself with a lot of time on my hands, and I've used that time to good use for the most part, doing pencil drawings, and I haven't done any painting for a while, with the exception of what I'm doing in this video. This is a gouache painting, and this is a little different because I'm using a tone paper. It's a paper that I like a great deal. It's made by a company called Stonehenge, and they make great paper, great pads and stuff like that. This is their craft paper. It's actually 100% cotton, and it's a heavyweight paper with a nice texture, and I like how the paint behaves on here. Um, and yeah, so I love this paper a lot, and it's great for gouache. But besides that, like I said, I've had a lot of time to do art, and and I've been basically drawing most of the time, which has paid off. But I'd like to get started painting, and and before I run out of time, because what happens is that when I'm unaccustomed to having this much time on my hands, and what happens is I wind up squandering time if I'm not careful. So I definitely don't want to do that. I want to be working every day, and it's not like I don't have anything to do apart from the art. I mean, there are times that I have to, because my children are here with me, so I have to help my son with his homework and with his schoolwork, because his school is out, and they're doing homeschooling. You know, he gets online, and they have classes online, and I have to help him through that. Um, my other son is in college, so he can take care of himself, and he does very very well. But so it keeps me occupied for a great deal of the day. But beyond that, there's also time that I need to have for me, and I've got to find that time. Even when I have all this time on my hand now, I wind up uh, it winds up being almost the same thing. But anyway, I do manage to get work done. Like this gouache. Now I started it out. First, first of all, I did a pencil drawing, and it was pretty careful. I wasn't trying to be too exact, but just trying to get everything down. And then second of all, I built it up in washes, and it's going to look like a mess before it gets any better. But my idea was to, because I've been drawing and I haven't painted for a while, so I was trying to feel more comfortable with the paint. I wasn't confident enough to just approach it more opaquely. I figured if I build it up with the washes like I would do a regular watercolor, and then had those opaque properties that come with the gouache, pull things together towards the end. This is what I was thinking of. So, but apart from that, I was trying to also see what I can get away with here. I didn't want to do a background initially, but I wound up doing a background because I found that the figure, didn't make any sense without it. But uh, again, I'm building it up slowly. I'm working out. It's pretty much the same thing as I always do, working out the lights and the darks. Uh, Before that, the careful drawing, making sure I place the figure where I want it to be placed on the page. In hindsight, I could have pushed it a little bit more to the right, maybe. Um, I'm not terribly sure about that, but I'm not terribly upset about it either. And I worked this out in two places. I found it difficult to work where I started initially because it was such a cramped space, and and the lighting was so bad. I'm using the lighting from my phone. My phone has like a flashlight on it that I use to shine on the painting. But the problem with that also is that I get a glare, and so one of the properties of gouache is that it dries lighter than when you lay it down. And but that's okay. I mean, initially in the beginning, I'm not too worried about the color. I am concerned about staining the paper, getting something down, and so that I can continue to build on. And gouache is good for that because you can make many changes as you go along. But still, in the beginning, I try to be as precise as I can. I'm not worried about the color though. And then with the thin washes, I'm not worried about the paint building up too much. And this paper is a thick paper, and it can hold up a lot of paint, and it absorbs the color, the medium, very very well as too. So I'm able to build up a little bit more than I would with some other kind of paper. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, like I always, speed up this video a bit, and if there's anything I feel like I need to add, I will go ahead and add that. I'll chime in and add that. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and like I said, I hope everyone is keeping well. Please be safe, and let's continue. All right, so here I am in the second phase here. I just changed rooms. I found that I had more space here. Actually, I'm in one corner of the drawing table that I used in order to bring the painting closer the um, uh, to the camera in which I was videotaping this. But I have a lot more space. I don't feel as cramped, and the area around me is not as cramped, and the lighting is better. I just feel a lot better working here. But anyway, I'm going past working on the face. I've got it just about completed. Now, as I go on, I'm going to touch it up and change things. But for the most part, the face is done. And I'm going to go ahead and work on the other areas, and I look forward to working on his jacket and the folds on his jacket, because I find that a lot of fun. I find it difficult, but I enjoy doing it, and enjoy wanting to get a good result out of it, out of my efforts. But I approach it the same way as I approach everything else. I work from the big areas. I try to analyze what I see and work out the larger areas, and then I get into the smaller and smaller details, just working from the big to the large. So the patterns of light and dark that I see, and trying to simplify them, not trying to trace everything out, or try to draw everything out from the beginning. Some things I'm going to find, some things I'm not going to find, some things are not going to be as important, but I want to get the major, larger shapes within that jacket, of patterns of the patterns of the folds and so forth. And I don't want to get carried away with every fold, but just enough to make it look, to make it convincing. And that really requires for me picking out what I think are the important things, or the important folds. In the same way with the way I handle his pants, his bag, his hands, his face. It's the same thing. You work from the large areas to the smaller areas, and this wasn't really planned out that well, other than me trying to do a sketch. So initially, I had not worried about the background, like I said before. But as you'll see, as the sketch developed, I really didn't want him just to be floating on the page. So I decided, let me go ahead and put in the background, uh, and that would be more appropriate for the image. But again, I'm going to speed this video up and let you enjoy watching the rest of it. Okay, so like I said, with the painting pretty much done, I'm of course, even as I close it out, I'm going to touch up on it. But one of the major problems, as I said all along, is that at this point I felt I needed to put in the rest of the background. Like this picture or this painting wouldn't have made sense without a background. So I went ahead and I laid in some some pencil outlines as far as where I want the background to go, because it involves some straight lines, so I needed to be a little bit more careful about it for it to make sense. And that's what I'm doing here. I mean, I didn't want the figure floating, even with the suggestion of the seat to the left of the to the figure's left. That wasn't enough. So I said, let me go ahead and put down the rest of this and call it a painting. But yeah, and then after that, I was pretty satisfied with it, with what how the picture came out, how the painting came out. Um, but as always, I will look back at it, and I do now, and think of what I could have done better, um, and what I want to do with the next painting, as far as making something that's better. Which I have in mind another subway painting, and that I've pretty much really had in mind before this one, but it's going to be larger, and it's going to be more involving, and I guess I want to make sure that when I sit down to do it, one of the things that's with me in particular is that if I sit down to do something, I want to know that I have a good block of time where I won't be interrupted. I don't like being interrupted once I get started on a painting, because it just I don't know what it just to say that I find it annoying, or to say that it's a problem with me because it kind of breaks the flow. I want to continue to solve problems and work things out, and work the painting, if not to completion, to get it as far as I can, before before I go on to what I would consider the next phase. So I don't want to just do literally a speed painting. I want to go ahead and have the time to work things out. So, but that's going to be my next project, is to go ahead and work out uh, a larger painting, that is a bit more, a lot more involving than something like this. This is pretty much what I would just label a sketch, but it was fun to do, and it's necessary. It's necessary to keep my hand moving, and it's also, just because it's a sketch doesn't mean that it's something that I didn't want to do, or that I didn't take seriously. I took this with all seriousness, and I tried to do my best on it, um, and I was satisfied with the results, but I'm going to push it further, or I'm going to attempt to anyway. But anyway, so I'm going to let this video finish out, and then I'll just come back in at the end. All right, so right now this is pretty much close to the end. I'm just wrapping this painting up, and I think it looks a whole lot better having a background rather than not. You know, just having the figure float in the middle of the page, and even like I said, having just that seat to the left of him, just and then nothing happening on the right of him. It just looked unresolved. It looked unbalanced. Like there was a weight on one side and there's nothing on the other side. It's like being on a seesaw. You know, in order to be balanced, you have to have some weight on the other side. So this is the final painting. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed painting putting this painting together a whole lot. And I will be back. I will be back with some more videos, and hopefully you'll see the result of a lot of work with this time that I have on my hands. Once again, please be safe, stay healthy, and I will see you again. Bye-bye.